Coming up right now, a California man refuses to move from his cliffside mansion despite warnings it's probably going to slide into the ocean.
Also coming up, zebras, camels, and flames. Oh my! See how circus animals were rescued after a truck catches fire on a highway.
Wow, you're going to see this video. And later, find out why Meghan Markle thinks she could be the new Martha Stewart or the next Joanna Gaines, all on Netflix.
Daily Flash starts right now.
Get ready for trending news and entertainment. This is Daily Flash with your hosts, Andrea Jackson and Mitch English. The fun starts right now. This is Daily Flash.
Hi everyone, I'm Andrea Jackson.
I'm Mitch English, welcoming you to Daily Flash. Halfway through the week, we're so glad to have you here. We have a great show planned for you all day. We've been waiting for you to join us, so thank you. Matty is going to be joining us as well. How you been, Matt? What's been going on in your life?
You know what, Mitch?
Yes,
you
sir.
make me very proud.
How so?
We're turning into a sneakerhead.
Oh, yeah.
You can get a shot of his feet.
I got
some
these
Jordans.
from, check me out.
He's in some J's, some Lightning 2001 or 2021.
And I bought these off my bonus son. And
They look great on you, Mitch.
they're very
They
comfortable.
work. They work.
And so I took it to our expert to find out if they're legit, and Matt said, yeah, they are legit.
Did he verify?
Yeah.
Matt
They are
verified.
legit.
Matt had
Okay.
a whole collection of them, so I was like, I want to be like Matt.
He's our go-to expert when it comes to
comes
all
to
things
the shoes?
Disney
shoes.
shoes, wrestling, everything that's
yes.
just
NASCAR.
stupid.
Everything that's
NASCAR.
fun, Matt. Come on now. Have you heard of this gig tripping?
Gig tripping, no, sounds new to me.
So if you are a big fan of a music act or a star, let's say Taylor Swift,
Okay.
who's really inspired yet another thing thanks to her popularity. Gig tripping is where you get a group of people together who decide to go see a show and they make a big trip out of it. So
Oh, okay.
you're gig tripping. And people are willing to fly thousands of miles, maybe not just to see the show once or twice, 3, 4, 5 times.
Okay.
And so it's kind of this whole event that they make out of it. It's a vacation and you're following your favorite music act.
I could totally see that. I mean, it's a time where Matt and I we saw Billy Joel and Sting,
Yes.
and it's fun, and we had to drive to another town to go do it, but we had a great time. I could totally see that. Try flying across the country to see somebody.
Yes, flying
maybe like
across
on the
country.
Rockies or something like
Yeah,
that.
and in 2024, they expect nearly 50% of Americans aged 25 to 34 to partake in some kind of gig tripping event.
Half America.
I
That's
know,
pretty good.
right?
So it's a big business, 100%.
It's a huge
My
business.
buddy's seen the Dave Matthews Band 17 times.
What
Really?
you say?
And all over the country. He'll go wherever he is if he can
I
afford it
just
and get
wonder,
there.
like, the thing to me, like, concert tickets have gotten so expensive.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
just don't know how you afford to be able to not only buy the ticket, but then afford the vacation that goes along with it.
I think the Grateful Dead are the ones that really kind of made that a thing where you follow
Yes.
them around, but those people mostly didn't. They're just like, we're following them around. I don't have a job. They were communes and they got
And
it.
the parrot heads that followed
Parrot Head's
Jimmy
another one. That's a
Buffett,
good one.
Margaritaville, that whole
All right.
experience.
Well, we need to find a concert and go and check it out across the country. I'm
think
game
so.
for that.
Okay.
All right, 3 multi-million-dollar homes appear to be teetering on the edge of a cliff in Southern California. Historic storms have taken out a chunk of the ground beneath the homes, and some believe it actually puts the properties at risk of falling into the Pacific Ocean. You think? The priciest of these 3 is a $15 million 4-bedroom property owned by an 82-year-old doctor. He says he has no plans whatsoever going anywhere. Building inspectors checked on all 3 properties, determined all the homes are stable at this time, but I would not be able to sleep at night looking at that, knowing that like you're going to wake up, any kind of creak, noise in the house of like, are we about to go? That's scary altogether, but they have to know that.
Yeah, it looks so precarious just kind of hanging off the cliff here, but you and I have both lived in California, and I know the way they build homes there. They're built to kind of withstand this sort of
That's true.
erosion. So the guy that lives in one of those homes, he's an 82-year-old doctor. He's retired. He doesn't care, and he's not moving. So, basically he's saying, look, I'm going to live here until I die. So whether I'm going with the house or whether I'm dying from something else, I'm staying right where I am.
It's a huge investment, and $15 million is nothing just throw away. So, and it's probably gonna be hard to sell it. So why even have that threat of worried about it?
Oh, yeah, that's true.
I mean, who's gonna
too.
buy it, right? They'd have to tear it down.
Don't mind that the earth is caving out from underneath it. The views are
The views
spectacular.
are wonderful. The view will be great too when it falls down.
Well, a truck hauling circus zebras and camels caught fire on an Indiana highway, prompting a police rescue. The tractor trailer caught fire along Interstate 69. State troopers came to the rescue of 5 zebras, 4 camels, and a miniature horse by leading them off the smoke-filled trailer. Both officers were treated at a hospital for smoke inhalation and later released. Thankfully, none of the animals were injured either. The truck driver, a 57-year-old from Sarasota, Florida, was not hurt. The Grant County Sheriff's Office posted photos and videos on Facebook of camels walking on the highway and later standing alongside of the road with the zebras. The post included the message, "No harm to our furry
That's
friends."
good.
Yeah.
Yeah, they gotta
Florida
be-
thing ever.
Yeah, scary. There would be a wild. First off, just rubbernecking. Just to see, was that a zebra?
Is that a
Yes.
camel?
Was that a camel?
I remember being behind one of the Shriners trailers and they had their camel in it. I was thinking, I know I had a busy Friday night and I know I had a couple of extra cocktails, but am I really seeing a camel and a trailer in front of me on the highway?
And there's the Shriners. She was actually in a parade. I had no idea that she. I'm like,
Why
do
did have a
people throw-
tiny car?
I
too?
don't
It's
have
just
any
crazy.
candy.
What are all these clowns doing
Why are
around me?
these
I don't
clowns-
understand
these little
this.
miniature cars?
All right, well, Meghan Markle will use the final year of her current Netflix contract to take on America's most famous lifestyle queens like Martha Stewart and Joanna Gaines. The contract Markle and Prince Harry signed with the streamer back in 2020 runs through 2025. Sources say Meghan is trying to position herself as a lifestyle guru now after several failed attempts at actress, princess, and podcaster. Hollywood insiders say Markle will try to bring her lifestyle blog, The Tig, to life on the streaming channel. Think a low-budget copycat version of Gwyneth Paltrow's website, Goop.
All right. I know that, and there was talks that they were going to bring Suits back, but a different incarnation where it's in California.
Yeah.
And I think really, she was in it for I think all but the last season, Meghan Markle. And I think like you try and all right, you have an audience, you have that many. It seems like you're going to have to do one or the other.
Yeah.
But I don't blame her for trying. I just don't think you're going to overthrow Martha Stewart. That's just not going to happen.
And I don't think that, unless you're sort of known for that to begin with, I think that's a hard thing to come into and establish yourself as something like that.
And that's what Martha Stewart had to do. She went through all the rigors of becoming who she is.
And Joanna Gaines for the same, you look at their Magnolia Network. I mean, it's not like she was a television star and then she decided to do home design.
And that's what you normally, and when you see somebody going backwards in that way, and you're like, well, I give a little more credence to somebody that had dedicated their entire life for those sort of things.
Didn't the guys from Suits say even if they did a new season, they would not want her back?
I think that was not a good departure out of all of it. And I'm not 100% sure if they're going to even have the same cast. I think they're just using the name Suits.
You know what would help her?
What's that?
Jail.
Jail?
Help Martha.
No, she would. No, you would.
She needs
that's
that
a good
street cred.
point. Yeah. A mugshot.
Get her in jail.
Yep. And hang with Snoop Dogg.
Do it. An officer in Britain set up his phone to record an animal rescue, but a curious fox snatched that device and ran away with it, all while still recording. The video actually shows the fox setting the phone down under a nearby bush, giving a little sniff. It manages to take a selfie video in the process.
my
You're looking at it right
goodness.
now. The officer catches up to the animal and manages to get his phone back, also saying, "I cannot believe that this just happened." The rescuer said that he actually located a second fox he claims was involved in that phone theft. So they're sly ones, aren't they?
They
Look
are
at her.
sly.
Look.
So cute.
I'm loving that. And more and more you're going to find stuff like that just because the availability of having cameras now everywhere. It's fun to see stuff like that.
We had some wildlife cameras set up at the barn
Yeah?
because in the neighborhood we live in, it's basically a wildlife preserve that surrounds it. So we've got bobcat, we have bear, we have deer, tons of deer on the wildlife camera. And at home we've got one of the blink systems
Yes.
set up. And I think I showed
Yesterday
this to
we
you
showed me that. It's
yesterday.
cool.
I always like to see what happens late at night. And we had a bear, a big black Florida bear, walking up our driveway. So I think he was trying to go for the trash, which was behind a gate.
That's normally, right. They're smart
Yeah.
enough where they can open up the lid and then go and get what they want.
Yeah.
And they're definitely Yogi Bear smart for sure.
True. Well, if you were lucky enough to have a spare $30 million, then the most expensive home in Central Florida could be yours right now. if you've got the $30 million, you might want to buy a lottery ticket just in case, and it could be your new pad.
All right.
7 bedrooms, 14 bathrooms, 29,000 square feet home, located in Windermere, sits on a prime 18-acre lot. This exceptional estate offers a sanctuary of unparalleled beauty. That's what they say, with approximately 627 feet of frontage on the lake down in the coveted Butler Chain of Lakes area. It presents breathtaking views and the added enchantment of nightly fireworks from Disney and the other theme parks.
Now you got me.
The owner has decided not to show much of the interior, including any
Look
of the
at that lot.
bedrooms,
Wow.
but the property is described as blending classic Georgian architecture with modern amenities. 50,000 square feet of living space.
That's a lot.
Right? I mean, that's a lot of housekeeping. You've got upper floors with your choice of 1 or 2 elegant staircases to access your own private elevator, garage for 50 cars. 50 cars, and your opportunity to pursue and cultivate your dream collection.
And Shaq's mom would be your neighbor right around that area.
Yes, she would,
yeah,
you're
that's
right.
in that area. All right, more Flash still to come right here. Don't go anywhere.
Welcome back to Daily Flash. A website is offering to pay a movie fan $2,000 to watch all of this year's Best Picture Oscar nominees and predict the outcome of the broadcast. TestCasinos.com announced a unique job opportunity for a cinephile willing to watch the 10 nominees for Best Picture, rate each movie, and predict the winners at this year's Academy Awards. The chosen candidate will receive $2,000, a new 65-inch 4K TV, and a $500 DoorDash gift card. Applications are being accepted now through March 9th.
I'm loving that. That'd be a fun job to have.
I feel like I've seen all those movies. Can I qualify for
Yeah,
that?
get you a TV and you're done, right? I'd like that. Looks like a passenger on a plane from Dubai was caught on camera headbutting a flight attendant, causing crew members to actually tackle him and restrain him with cable ties. The incident actually took place in the business class section of the Emiratis flight to Islamabad, thank you. In the clip, a tall, thin man is seen headbutting a male flight attendant who was holding him by his collar. Now, the crew members were forced to tie his legs together in an effort to restrain him. After the plane landed, the suspect was then tied to a wheelchair with his hands behind his back. Wow. The number of in-flight attacks has been on the rise since COVID. In 2023, it was at least one incident reported for every 568 flights. And you say 568 flights, but we're talking, that's a lot globally. You know, I mean, how many flights a day take off?
Have people just lost their minds on airplanes? What is happening?
The only thing I can attribute maybe some of that to is like it's expensive to fly. I can give you that.
Yes.
So you think, well, I'm paying this big amount of money. I want to get everything that I want. If things don't go your way, plus there's a lot of stress that happens when it comes to travel. And I think people just forget, hey, you know what? Guess what? Everybody else in this thing is going through the same thing you're going through. So keep
But
that
I
in mind.
think there's this weird sense of entitlement.
Entitlement,
where I
sure.
think that people think if I don't get my way, I'm suing, and I'll get my way that way. And for whatever reason, I don't know if it's social media, I don't know if it's reality television, but it has created this horrible behavior.
And knowing that there's cameras everywhere.
Yeah.
My favorite one of the late is the two guys that don't forget about, they're at the counter and they say, what about your dogs? What about your dogs, Macy and Shelby? Have you seen this?
No.
You got to Google this. It is hilarious. And he keeps going on, what about Shelby? Think about Shelby. Think about Shelby. It's hilarious. You got to definitely check it out. All right. All right. Well, according to a recent poll, 90% of Americans agree that we actually are experiencing a mental health crisis. And most often we actually treat the symptoms without looking deeper into the root causes of mental health concerns. So joining us right now is Bob Gardner. He is a freedom and transformation specialist with a fresh view on actually how to conquer stress, addiction, and anxiety. Bob, welcome to Daily Flash. So glad to have you here.
Glad to be here.
Your first point is actually, it's quite interesting. It's a question, what if there's really nothing wrong with you? Explain that.
Yeah, well, in the beginning, you got to remember, I came from a place where I was deeply addicted for 18 years, was suicidal, was depressed, and I was looking at the reality that all the things that I had tried hadn't worked, that I had spent all of this time and energy and money on things to sort of manage the symptom. And so I started turning the question around and going like, what if the fact that I'm experiencing misery is an indication that my body and mind are working properly, just with the wrong set of data? And that started a whole train of conversation in a different direction.
No, I totally, I can see where you're already headed. I can see the road where we're headed, where we're doing this, because that's what happens is our body takes over. Our body knows how to run itself, if you think about it. But explain, how does trauma actually begin and then end in the body, and can we actually remove it?
Yeah. So in the end, when I say what is trauma or what is addiction or what are all these other things, the question I was asking myself is, how do I know I have it?
Right.
And when that question is posed, immediately I start looking around and realizing, oh, wow, I'm dealing with my breathing is off. I have this gnarly feeling in my gut. My eyes are erratic. I feel uncomfortable, but it was all in my body. And I go, well, shoot, I don't experience that all the time. I don't experience trauma all the time.
Yeah.
So if it's only this thing in my body, what if I start working with my body and retrain it so that its reflex reaction to the environment is something totally different? And that's exactly what I did.
It seems like a lot of people actually, they look outwardly to find out what's wrong with them. Like something is causing this, like another person or the situation. And you're saying, well, look, maybe it's internal, and maybe if you can figure that out, it'll actually work its way through the body through this. Am I right in my estimation on that?
100%. And it's natural that we would look outside to blame stuff. We learned it. We watched other people doing it. We absorbed that by some sort of life osmosis, going, oh yeah, if I feel upset, you made me upset. But
Yeah.
the reality is, if I had been unconscious and they had done the same thing, I wouldn't have felt upsetness.
I
So
love that.
obviously, consciousness is doing it.
I need to think more of like, what would I do if I was unconscious? That's how I need to start thinking. I like that. All right, how do we actually train ourselves to find that happiness on autopilot?
Yeah, that's where what I started with was, well, let me just start learning how to manage my mind and my body and my feelings on the inside in a way that I can move them in a direction of goodness, even when the negative stuff hits. So I would start with, oh, well, let me just breathe differently than I'm breathing right now. Let me
Okay.
stand differently than I'm standing right now. And, it's funny, you get upset, but if you just like lay on the ground, it changes the feeling. If you hang yourself upside down, off the couch or something, it's really hard to have an argument in the same way if both of you are upside down. And it's amazing. These little changes can change it.
No, to me, honestly, and I'm not making fun, that makes sense to me, because we get into these modes, all right, because first off, we get into these defense modes. I got to protect myself, my being, and that thing. But if you can move yourself and extract yourself out from that, now I got to think different. I don't know where I'm at, and I'm going to act different, much like how I act on TV, and you would not be on TV if you think about it, right? I mean, you're being seen, so I totally understand that. Your book, Built for Freedom, folks can get it anywhere. Where can they find out more information?
You can get it on Amazon. You can get it on my website, thefreedomspecialist.com, that's listed there, as well as access to all of our podcasts and other programs, a chance to come to retreats and whatnot. Basically, I am trying to give people the best that I can give them. And my hope is by the end, they walk away with the sense that, wow, maybe nothing's wrong with me. Maybe I just haven't trained my system to produce anything but
Thank
this.
you, Bob. Thank you so much. Thefreedomspecialist.com. More after this.
Welcome back to Daily Flash. I'm Matt Doolittle, and this is this week's Is It True? And this week I'm asking, is it true that malls are dead? The reason I ask that is that one of the mall's must-haves is on the verge of shutting nearly 500 stores. Now, we all know malls have been on the decline, but one of my favorite retailers might be on the way out. Express, the business casual retailer, is on the verge of closing nearly 500 stores. And you got to think about it, they have a big footprint because they have both a men's and a women's store in most of their location. Their CEO recently said, we're actually actively adjusting our assortment architecture through a better balance in wearing, occasion, price points, and a focus on more casual tops and bottoms, and blah, blah, blah. We don't know how to fix this. In other words, we have no idea what we're doing. The other example is a mall here in Orlando, the Seminole Town Center, recently had its power cut off because they didn't pay their bill. And then the other day it just came out that Macy's is looking to close 150 of their locations across the country. So I'm asking you guys, are malls dead? Is it true they're dead? And I hate that they are, because one of my first careers was at one of the malls here working at Finish Line. Then I worked at a Champs. It was a great place to learn and grow. Yeah. So, guys out there, do you think it's true malls are dead?
I think, well, first off, I think they're going to have a reincarnation of something, by all means. I've been seeing a lot of them turn into health gyms and then also places where kids can jump around. There's a use for them. Best use I've heard was on the internet. It's like, let's turn them into retirement villages. And, anybody could just go there and retire and you have a food court and that sort of thing, or make it some kind of community. It's sad walking through there though, Matt, you're right. Like, because you see the massiveness and how much, and then you realize you don't really need that anymore. And then you look back on our youth, at least mine, like the mall was everything.
That was the thing. I think that they're positioned for a comeback. That's just me.
Yeah.
And maybe I'm just optimistic, but I think that what's old is new again. And I think the shopping mall will have a resurgence pretty soon, because I think people are sort of tiring of the online shopping. Yes, it's convenient, but I think eventually you miss that one-on-one interaction with people. Going to a store, I did some Christmas shopping and I went to Dillard's and Macy's, and it was so nice to actually interact with a salesperson and get, information and help. It was like, wow, this is such a nice experience.
Every 80s movie had a mall in it,
Oh
right?
my gosh, a mall and a food court.
But
An example is, though, of how to revive these, though, and especially with all the online shopping, is you at least know what you're getting. I mean, how many times have we all been burned by ordering stuff? And I know for my wedding coming up, we've ordered a bunch of stuff online, and I got to tell you, it did not look, feel, or smell like the pictures or anything that it described. And we've had to send it back, wait another week. We're, a few days out here, and I'm going to the mall to buy most of what I need now, and it's tough to find it.
That's a great point.
I think what they're going to need to do is, because you're not going to get a 100% occupancy as far as stores go, but in Oklahoma City, and I'm sure there's other places doing this, they put an aquarium in the mall, and because they know, like, okay, because like when you hung out at the mall, well, now you have the aquarium, but then you can also have some shopping, so you have to have
an anchor tenant.
It kind of bringing you in, anchor tenant.
We have one of those here. They've got the Crayola experience at one of the shopping malls, and then another one just opened up what is like a movie studio. So they've got different sets where you can go and shoot certain things. So they're trying to create, that anchor tenant, that go-to, and while you're there, you can do the other shopping.
That out. Yeah, and then the little kiosks can be just about anything. Anyway, all right, Matt. So I say they are dying. I think they will have a resurgence though. It's too much real estate. You know what I'm saying?
They're being resuscitated.
Exactly.
That's
all
what
right.
I hope.
All right, well, let us know what you think, too. Head over to dailyflashshow.com. Send us an email and let us know, do you think it's true malls are dying or not?
All
All right, Matt, good stuff. Well, Machine Gun Kelly fans are mourning the loss of his Cleveland-inspired chest tattoos, and others are accusing him of cultural appropriation after he recently revealed that he covered his upper torso with a massive black tattoo. The Grammy-nominated rapper showed off his new ink on Instagram. The photo shows Kelly revealing his upper chest and most of his arms blacked out in ink. The 33-year-old baffled fans after covering up his colorful tribute to his hometown of Cleveland, Ohio, that featured area codes and interstates.
That's a lot of ink.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what I guess what it used to look like now.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry, I can't. The cultural appropriation, I can't say you do it. Lots of guys black out their tattoos that they don't want, but usually it's a reasoning behind it. And that had to have taken just. Imagine how long it took to just do that. First off.
I don't know about the tattoo. Do you have any tattoos?
I do not have tattoos.
Me
I
neither.
do not like needles.
No. I can't imagine how much pain might have been involved in that whole tattooing
That's what I
process.
say. Now, let me tell you this, though. And I don't know. I would love to be the guy that can take two companies or two industries and kind of put them together. The tattoo folks and the EpiPen folks need to get together. I had to do the EpiPen about 2 weeks ago, and I was scared to death, and so my wife had to do it, and then she did it. I'm like, all right, well, do it. And she goes, I already did it. And I'm like, you can't feel it at all. So why can't we make a tattoo gun that you can't feel? Am I right?
Bad idea. You're right.
All right, forget going to the moon. We need a tattoo gun that doesn't hurt, and we'll have more tattoos everywhere.
What if we get a tattoo gun that can also prevent allergies?
I'm all game for that. That's wonderful.
The EpiTat.
The EpiTat. Actually, I love that name, the EpiTat. Right, we're buying that domain. Sorry, forget it, guys. That's our domain. We have more Flash coming up right around here. You're watching television's Daily Flash, trending news and entertainment.
This is Daily Flash with your hosts, Andrea Jackson and Mitch English. Trending news and entertainment. This is Daily Flash.
Hi, everyone. Mitch English here.
Andrea Jackson. This is Daily Flash, your source for trending news and entertainment. We've also got Matt Doolittle with us this morning.
Checking in with him in just a few. Can you believe that Jimmy Fallon has been doing The Tonight Show for 10 years?
Really? I would have thought it would be more.
Didn't it feel longer than that?
Yes.
And I think what it was is that he left SNL and he did late night.
That's
first,
what it
and so I
is.
think people associated with it, and then that big debacle with
Yeah.
Leno coming back and Conan.
and-
That. So NBC is giving him a 2-hour special that will run May 14th to celebrate his 10 years. 2 hours is a long time. First off, for prime time, but I think it's a product where it's already self-contained, and programming-wise, it wouldn't cost him all that much to run a special for him. But good for him. 10 years. I think a lot of people feel like he's kind of changed the feel of the Tonight Show
He's
altogether.
super talented, and I feel like he's really brought kind of a different niceness to the late night talk show.
Yes, it's a different world than it used to be when it comes to late night.
I wonder how relevant the late night talk shows will be moving forward, because I feel like social media has kind of killed that whole vibe altogether. Because now these celebrities are accessible anywhere, anytime, whereas before you kind of had to depend on those late night shows to
You're right.
see them in a different sort of element.
No, and I think with Jon Stewart returning back for Mondays at least,
Yes.
Yeah.
even though that Comedy Central is getting great ratings, they're still nowhere near like what it used to be, and even taken away from all the other ones.
And
and On Demand has something a lot to do with that
That's
too.
true. And then I just heard rumors that Jimmy Kimmel will be done in a couple of years, and Stephen A. Smith from ESPN really wants to move into that late night
will be interesting to
talk
see.
show gig. So how his sports approach to talk shows will translate to late
Craig
night.
Kilborn did the same thing. He
That's
went from
true.
ESPN, so
Oh,
I could
yeah,
see
that's
why they can
right.
transition to that.
Yeah, that makes sense. Well, 3 multi-million-dollar homes appear to be teetering on the edge of a cliff in Southern California. Historic storms have taken out a chunk of ground beneath the homes, and some believe it puts the properties at risk of falling right into the Pacific Ocean. Look at this. The priciest of the 3 is a $15 million 4-bedroom property owned by an 82-year-old doctor. He says he has no plans of going anywhere. Building inspectors checked on all 3 properties and determined all the homes are stable at this time. If you spend any time living in California, the building restrictions and the codes there are a lot different, and they build to code in these types of areas. So they're built in more to the land than we really think.
So, and you can see there really nobody on the other side of them,
No.
and they're behind them. So I mean, if they can pick up and move the house backwards, that's one thing. But when I imagine by the time you're 86 and you're a doctor and you got this great house and great views, you don't want to leave. I
don't
get
leave.
that. You're
Yeah.
like, I'm in California. That's why I'm here.
Well, look at the people in Florida. I mean, I think we're probably all guilty of it. When a hurricane pops up, you don't want to leave your house.
No.
You don't really want to go.
Or in the Midwest, when somebody's house been destroyed 3 times by a tornado, they're like, well, we're going to rebuild. It's like, it comes through the same way, man. It's done this before.
Indeed.
Tornado Alley for a reason.
Yeah.
Well, wait, I'll take my odds. A truck hauling circus zebras, as well as camels, caught fire on an Indiana highway, prompting a police rescue. The tractor trailer actually caught fire along I-69. State troopers came to the rescue of 5 zebras, 4 camels, a miniature horse, by leading them off the smoke-filled trailer. Both officers were treated at a hospital for smoke inhalation, later released. None of the animals were injured at all. The truck driver, 57-year-old dude from Sarasota, Florida, not hurt. The Grant County Sheriff's Office posted photos, videos on Facebook of those camels walking off a highway and later standing alongside of the road with zebras. The post included the message, "No harm to our furry friends." So that's good. Traveling, I imagine, on. But I was thinking animal cookies because they're in those little trains the whole time. Because I'm an idiot. That's why I was thinking about that.
That's the craziest thing. Did you guys see that video of the horse, like, cantering down the highway
just
in
hauling?
Pennsylvania?
For like miles and miles, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
wasn't that crazy? And thankfully that horse wasn't hurt,
Yeah,
but it
no,
was
it didn't.
unbelievable. It stayed right there along the center divide in the one lane, and it just kept
That's
going and going and going.
We are going to keep going and going right after I find out what cantering means, but we'll make sure that. Huh? I learned something. That's why I love hanging out with you. But we'll have more fun coming up a little bit later on here. Don't go anywhere. You're watching television's Daily Flash. We're so glad to have you along.
Horse running at full
Oh, of
Yeah.
course. Like when you put the quarter in.
Yeah,
and
not galloping, but cantering.
okay.
Not as fast as Spring is just a few weeks away, and lifestyle editor Joanne Butler has some amazing beauty deals to get you ready for the new season.
Oh, hi, thanks for having me. Well, let's start with skincare. Nothing rejuvenates your skin and leaves it prepped for the new season quite like a chemical peel. What it does is essentially speeds up that natural exfoliation process our skin already goes through on its own and just leaves it looking fresh and glowing. It can also help improve the appearance of fine lines and wrinkles and acne, discoloration, rosacea, even some sensitive skin conditions. And National Peel Day is March 10th, and Massage Envy, you may know them for fabulous massages, but they're also a leader in skincare with great facials and dermaplaning and chemical peels, and they're having some great deals just in time for National Peel Day. And they're using these PCA skin products, which are just really special and unique ingredient blends that deliver a comfortable treatment experience without sacrificing efficacy. They have expert estheticians too that customize your treatment depending on your goals and your skin type. And after your service, they'll even send you home with complimentary PCA skin products to protect your investment. So just great stuff. Now's the perfect time to treat yourself too, because from March 10th through the 24th, they're giving away a full-size daily exfoliant worth $46 when you spend $150 or more on PCA skin products at participating Massage Envy locations. Now, let's talk hair care. After a cold, harsh winter, your hair can often feel dry, dull, and damaged, and Pantene is always my go-to there, and they have two amazing new shampoo and conditioning collections right at Costco that just give your hair the springtime shine, hydration, and protection it deserves, full of high-end skincare inspired ingredients like provitamin B5 and keratin, coconut oil, and vitamin E that just nourish your hair, make it super shiny, soft, and hydrated. The first collection is the Multitasker 10. Now, this actually does 10 things at once. It repairs up to 6 months of damage. And through March 17th, they're having a special deal at Costco. And then the other is the new Essential Botanical Strawberry and Coconut Milk. This is derm tested, sulfate free. It has a delicious berry and coconut scent and just drenches your hair in softness. Just a whole shower experience too, because it smells just amazing. Again, both of these can be had at Costco. Talk about Lux for less here. And you can do a lot with those savings. You know, you can buy something new for your spring wardrobe. Speaking of which, it's all about denim come spring. Head to toe denim, especially blue. We're also seeing a lot of metallics. Metallics are making a comeback. Gold, silver, you name it. So sparkle and shine and denim for spring. And there you have it. Happy spring.
Thank you there, Joanne. A little trending news here. This is really inspiring. An 81-year-old Texas man, he received his personal training certification at age 73, and he's now been named the world's oldest fitness instructor. Tim Minnick, he teaches class at Gold's Gym. It's in Austin, Texas. The senior fitness guru started working as an instructor after getting his certification from the National Academy of Sports Medicine. He said that he was actually looking for something to, I just want to stay active after his wife died. Minnick said that he actually teaches students of all ages, but most of them are actually 50. The oldest is 95. Tim says that we actually start losing muscle, guess what age?
30.
35.
No
That's when we
way.
start losing muscle. So unless we stay active, we lose it, we become flabby and that sort of thing. And it tells you that you know, keeping the mind active is the most beneficial.
100%.
And when you're sitting around not doing anything, just go out and try to do something. And imagine when you get to an age where you're like, you know, I've always wanted to do this, which it sounds like this is what he wanted to do. Why not do it? And you know, it doesn't matter what age you are or a stage of life you're in, you could actually accomplish any kind of goal.
You look at him, he's 81, but he looks better than most 50-year-old men
Looks better
right
than
now.
me, for sure.
I mean, it's unbelievable, but it's true. You always hear that adage, move it or lose it.
Yeah.
And it really has different meanings for different people at different stages of their life.
100%. We are, though we're standing still, right now, we will be back. And we're actually, I'm going to get Jackson and we're going to run around the building just to stay
Just
active.
do a lap.
Yeah. How
Get
about
our
that?
energy going.
That's right here on Daily Flash. See if we're out of breath when we return.
Welcome back to Daily Flash. Shenanigans. That's what some real estate experts are calling the threat of a housing bubble. But are we truly out of the woods? Joining us to talk about it is James Rodriguez. He's with Business Insider. He's their senior real estate reporter. James, welcome to Daily Flash.
Thank you so much for having me.
So why were there mentions of a housing bubble, and why are some people describing it as possible shenanigans?
Well, I think when you look back at the past few years and the way that home prices have just skyrocketed, I mean, you have the typical housing price is up 47% from late 2019. And so I think, just seeing prices rise like that, people automatically think back to 2008 and they worry, are we headed for a similar crash? And that's when you start to see all this discussion of a housing bubble. And it's something that I've been asking experts for, really a few years now is, are we in a housing bubble? What does that even look like? And the answer that I keep getting over and over again is really no. And it boils down to kind of just the fundamentals, really the supply and demand. And we don't have the oversupply that we had going into 2008. And we also have way more demand because you have so many millennials hitting their prime home buying age right now. And so it's really the combination of those two factors. We can talk more about that, but yeah, no housing bubble right now is really the bottom line that I'm getting in my conversations.
And you mentioned inventory and, of course, a new generation of home buyers. What about interest rates right now? How are those interest rates driving the market, either good or bad?
So back in the spring of 2022, you had the Federal Reserve basically raising interest rates to combat inflation. And so, you think back to the winter of 2021 when you had these historically low mortgage rates, less than 3%. Those days are long gone. Ever since you started to have those rate hikes, we reached a near 20-year high, near 8% back in October. And so that's a big difference. I mean, that's hundreds or thousands of dollars a difference every year for someone paying their mortgage. So that really slowed down the market. I've referred to it as a housing market ice age because you don't have sellers who want to give up that prime mortgage rate that they got during the pandemic. You also have buyers who have been kind of dissuaded from buying because they see the way that mortgage rates have risen and they want to wait a little bit. But people are starting to get used to that now. Mortgage rates have gone down a little bit from that October high, and you also just have people thinking, okay, well, it looks like they're not going to suddenly drop dramatically. Maybe it is time for me to jump into the market after all.
I think it's tough when you look at the kind of down payment you need, if it's 20%, which I believe is the industry standard, to come up with that chunk of money in addition to the interest rates that people are facing. I think it makes it tough for first-time home buyers. Do you think we're out of the woods when it comes to a downturn in the housing market?
It's hard to say ever that it's not going to happen completely. I think everything that, when you look at, again, the demographic, trends that are going on, you have millennials, a lot of them are at that prime home buying age right now, but then you still have younger generation, Gen Z behind them, which, isn't as big of a generation as millennials, but still a sizable generation, and all signs indicate that they want to buy homes as well. And so, and you also have, home builders are building at about, half the rate that they were in the 3 decades prior to the Great Recession. So, you have that slowdown. It would take something really massive, basically something that kind of spills over from other financial markets into real estate, causes banks to pull back from lending. So basically, buyers, even if they want to buy a home, can't. It would take something like that, and we're not seeing that right now.
One final question for you, James. I know that it's a struggle when people think, well, should I continue renting because, I can afford to pay the rent, but the rent's expensive? Or should I really wait a couple more years, save more money, and then invest in the house? It seems like there's a conflict there. Is it easier to rent? Is it better to buy? What's your take?
I think based on the way that mortgage rates have risen, it definitely makes that conversation tougher because again, the payments are kind of hundreds or even thousands of dollars more than they were a few years ago. But I think it's a very personal decision. It kind of boils down to can you afford to keep paying rent and saving up, or should you just go ahead and pull the trigger because it doesn't seem like mortgage rates are getting a lot lower.
True. James, great insight for us. BusinessInsider.com is the website for more information on James Rodriguez and his advice when it comes to the housing market. James, thank you.
Thank you there, AJ and James. Good stuff there. Beyonce's new country song, Texas Hold'em, is burning up the charts and sparking a Western takeover. Check out this fan video inspired by her new tune. Beyonce just became the first black female artist with a #1 on the Billboard Hot Country Songs chart with her latest tune. Her lean into Western style is actually inspiring a resurgence in Western fashion trends all across social media. That's, of course, thanks to other pop culture trendsetters like Pharrell and Lil Nas X. From bolo ties to cowboy hats and some boots. Look at that. Style experts say that Beyonce has actually launched Western wear back into the spotlight. Her fans are lighting up social media with their take on the cowboy contour with the caption, "If Bay goes country, we go country." Expect to see more felt cowboy hats, flannel shirts, denim, and red, white, and blue. Beyonce's new country album is going to be released a little bit later on this month. Her two songs, Texas Hold'em and 16 Carriages, are actually the first two ahead of the LP's debut. Beyonce isn't the only pop artist taking a spin into country music territory. Lana Del Rey just announced that her next LP is called Lasso. It's going to be all country. And I've said it many times. Country music has the most dedicated fan base out of any, if you say that. And it's also, some say that it's closer to wholesome, right now it is at least, wholesome to down-home roots and that sort of thing. But I think as country progresses on, just as it has since the 90s, it goes into a different direction. And you know, I don't know what the controversy is about Beyonce doing this at all, and so many people getting all so upset about it. And you think about how many crossover artists there have been, all the way from like Amy Grant, Taylor Swift. Avril Lavigne started off, believe it or not, country a long time ago. Katy Perry was Christian music, and music takes you to wherever you are. And I think people are just taking this a little too out of hand, you know.
Well, and part of it, I think maybe it's a little bit manufactured controversy to sell records and to get her to the top of the chart. The song is super catchy, and everywhere on social media, people are doing their dances to the song. So there is not an issue with her song being popular or being popular
100%.
in country. It's beyond popular. Clearly, she's got the #1 song.
Absolutely.
And I think these artists are smart. I always think of Pitbull because he's one of those guys who collaborates with whoever's really hot at the moment, and he's good at doing that crossover music, and it makes him enjoyable and likable and popular across all different genres when he does those songs.
Tammy Wynette and KLF, you remember that when they made that? Did you see George and Tammy? Like so she caught all kinds of hell for going the other direction.
Yes,
I mean, like, and she's like, I don't care, music's music, and
as it should be.
And they made her like. She was the country music queen. So anyway, it's a cool song.
Yeah,
look it up. More Flash coming up right after this. Welcome back to the big show. He's Knuff already for the Academy Awards.
Yes.
We're talking about Ryan Gosling. He's actually going to perform his Oscar-nominated Barbie song, "I'm Just Ken," at the upcoming 96th ceremony. Gosling said he initially thought of turning down the role of Ken in the Barbie movie, which has grossed already $1.4 billion.
Jeez.
Here's a fun fact. The mink that Ken wears is actually a tribute to the 80s era of Sylvester Stallone.
Really?
Gosling also said he got a lot of inspiration for his version of Ken from watching The Bachelorette. I love that. All right, the Oscars coming up March 10th, so you can check that out.
Sunday.
There he is right there.
Yeah.
And everybody forgets he was in Mickey Mouse Club. And he's
Was he really?
Yeah, him with Brittany and all them stuff. He was a Mouseketeer. Which, because you look at him, you're like, he's a good-looking guy, so he's an actor. But he can act. We know that he can sing and act and dance and do all that stuff.
I have the biggest crush. He's one of my movie crushes. I love him. That movie, Crazy Stupid Love.
Yes.
I am so in love with that character. He was so good in that movie, and I feel like he's good in everything.
He is. I would think. And when I did the junket for that one, and he was there, and he brought his dog. And his dog was just as chill as he was. But the whole time, I'm like just looking down. He was like. He needed the dog there. It felt like a comfort thing. Like he was uncomfortable. I felt the vibe that he not that I make people uncomfortable. Maybe I do.
No, but maybe just the junket in general.
Yeah, it's like, hey, I got to
interview
do this.
process.
I want to get out. But this dog was just this gorgeous golden retriever, and it was amazing.
If I recall, he and Rachel McAdams dated for a while.
That sounds right.
Wasn't she in that one like real depressing movie about the couple? I can't think of it. But anyway, I remember we were talking about them possibly.
The Notebook? Yes,
Thank you, The Notebook. And I remember us talking about them potentially being engaged, and we got a message from someone, a viewer, and I always wondered if it was Ryan Gosling saying, you should do your research because they're not really engaged. And I'm like, who would know that?
Either the publicist or Ryan himself. I'm thinking about probably the publicist.
Probably, yeah.
And you know, I think honestly, he seems to me he's just a normal, cool guy that just has a cool job. and he enjoys what he
Yeah.
does. And he's going to be Colt Seavers in The Fall Guy as well. Yeah,
That's right. That movie's coming out soon too.
So excited about
I can't
that.
wait to see that. Yes.
Love it.
Oh my goodness.
Got excited, just came in my mind. That does it for our show. Thank you so much for
Yes.
joining and spending time with us.
Yeah, for more information on any of today's stories, be sure to visit our website, dailyflashshow.com. We'll have everything there for you, from the interviews to all the information. And we'll be there for you too.
Y'all
Be
take
good.
care. We'll see you when we look at you. Bye-bye.